Greetings, my Legionnaires! I report to you with news of my most recent encounter on the battlefield, Horizon Zero Dawn. I've been intrigued by this project for many years, and now I finally have the chance to sit down and spend hour after hour with it. As with all my tactical briefings, I'll cover a brief synopsis of the plot, the game's mechanics, its highlights, and its shortcomings. Also, for those fearful of story spoilers, fear not! I'll only be showing off earlier dialogue scenes to avoid ruining any surprises. Horizon Zero Dawn takes place in a post-apocalypse where metal behemoths prowl the land and vegetation has reclaimed the civilization that came many years before. The tale follows the adventures of Aloy. A mysteriously outcast child at birth by the Nora clan, Aloy is raised and mentored by Rost, who teaches her all she needs to know to survive amongst the harsh terrain and mechanical fauna. To regain entry back into the tribe, the crimson-haired hunter decides to take part in the Proving, a ritual that determines the warriors or braves of the tribe. During the ceremony, however, the Nora Brave initiates are set upon by an unknown group of assailants. This incident spurs Aloy to hunt down those responsible, but in doing so, she finds herself uncovering a threat to the entire planet. The game can be broken down into 4 distinct parts: fighting, hunting/gathering, traversing the various landscapes, and interacting with the inhabitants of the world. Combat is usually fought at range with an assortment of bows, arrows, slings, traps, tripwires, and cables used to pin enemies down. For those opponents that like to close the gap, a shotgun-style spear cannon or your lance are your fallback armaments, but it's typically best to keep your foes at a distance. Scanning your prey with a focus, an enigmatic item Aloy acquired in her youth, affords you with tactical knowledge such as weaknesses and patrol routes. To aid you in your tussles with machines and other tribes, your weapons and armor can be modified to accommodate your playstyle or be tailored to fell a particular beast. To initiate fights or to collect components afterwards, you'll spend time stalking prey to thin the herd, collect medicinal plants to heal you after your inevitable battle injuries, and loot fallen creatures to create more ammunition. This hunting and gathering component of the game is key to success, as you'll need to take every advantage against your physically superior adversaries. To help bolster your fighting prowess, hunting tactics, and gathering capabilities, 3 distinct skill trees are provided to help you sculpt Aloy into whatever way you see best. For those that prefer a more stealthy approach, the Prowler tree is for you. Finding yourself low on ammunitions and medicinal herbs, then the Forager tree could prove useful. If knocking up to 3 arrows at a time and using your spear more efficiently is what you're keen on, then the Brave tree is where you'll want to allocate your skill points. Each grouping is beneficial as they all fit together and complement one another very well. Sprinting on foot, riding on the back of a mechanized ally, or free climbing is how you'll traverse the many landscapes during your journey. Each major location will provide individuals in need or tribal leaders that you can speak with. Occasionally, you'll be given the opportunity to verbally respond in one of 3 ways: with compassion, aggressively, or in a strategic manner. The choices don't seem to have a dramatic impact on the overarching narrative of the game, but it does allow you to respond in whatever way you'd like in particular situations. Let's get into what makes this game truly outstanding. First and foremost are the graphics. Each location is visually stunning, from the snowy peaks down into the dense jungles. Not since The Witcher 3 have I felt the need to just stop and stare with wonder and awe at the breathtaking vistas. To complement this are excellent lighting effects, various weather conditions, and superb sound design that make each location feel alive. Also, trees and rocks can be ripped apart and torn through, which adds a desirable amount of reality, which I truly adore. To add to that, the integration of the PS4's audio implementation within the controller itself is another step into full immersion. Each time you turn on your focus to scan a crime scene, identify a beast, or when you manage to pull your bow back to its maximum tension, the built-in speaker alerts you to this. The extra layer of sound emanating out of your hands is a helpful and delightful bonus. Stealth and combat feel great too. Sneaking around in the tall grass and dispatching smaller enemies feels on point. But, even when stealth fails, the combat is hectic and gorgeous in the best way possible. Even late in the game, Aloy remains vulnerable to most all enemies. That's understandable because you're typically dealing with steel creatures that were made to kill. Learning their elemental weaknesses and successfully setting up traps is exhilarating and rewarding. Even your best laid plans won't always go off perfectly, but you have access to a variety of tools that allow you to adapt and overcome most foes later on. Fighting other tribesmen is a welcome change of pace, as you have to modify your tactics to deal with them. Regardless of your adversary, preparation and patience still remain key to victory. Scanning and identifying shortcomings feels like a combination of Ghost Recon and the aforementioned Witcher 3. When you finally defeat 20 barbarians or 2 snap maws, the satisfaction is instantaneous, whether you went with a sneaky approach or you were able to fell them in open combat. The archer feels great with the ability to slow down time when you aim or when you're jumping/sliding. It makes it much easier to tag certain parts of your enemies or just make you feel like an action hero. The fire, ice, sonic, and electric effects that are integrated into some of your ammunitions are a beauty to behold. Indicators both on your heads-up display and on the enemies themselves allow you to see if your volleys are connecting, which makes conflicts much easier to digest. To prep yourself on more of an in-depth analysis on each machine, a handy notebook outlines all their strengths, weaknesses, and attack styles. I really love this feature, and I think any game with an extensive list of creatures should include one. Within it, you can really see and understand the differences of the numerous wildlife you'll face off against. Transitioning away from the addicting slaying the game has to offer, the character of Aloy is very well done. Ashly Burch, the voice of Aloy, gives another top-notch performance and does a great job of portraying this determined warrior. Aloy as a person has many mixed emotions, responses, and relationships with her allies and enemies alike. The game is only bolstered by her comments and overall presence. Of all the human characters, her included, the nuances to certain facial animations are a nice added touch to the many conversations that are had. It isn't flawless, but it feels like a step in the right direction. This game really comes down to a mixture and blending of many elements. This fusion throughout the game of tribal technology with advanced mechanics, Native American clans with Norse punctuations, and even music that includes ritualistic drumming with synth beats is one of its best qualities. Out of the plethora of things Horizon Zero Dawn does exceptionally, there are a few missteps. Primarily, the story isn't really gripping in any way. The game falls prey to what many open-world titles are privy to do, in that the main storyline inevitably gets placed on the back burner, while other and more immediate activities take precedence. That isn't to say the story falls completely flat. There's a lot of mystery to uncover with audio and written journals there to sate a curious mind. Unfortunately, they aren't compelling enough to pore over. Even though I just lauded the ranged combat, I feel that the lance combat is sluggish at best. Using it for stealth or getting critical hits feels excellent, but the rest of the time it feels as if you're swinging around a giant baseball bat. Along with lance controls that feel somewhat clunky, I also felt that climbing wasn't exactly perfect either. There's a weightiness to it, but it lacks the smoothness of an Assassin's Creed or even an Uncharted. This could be intentional, but it felt like a hindrance all the same. Another minor interference the game suffers from is the heads-up display. Leaving it on the default setting makes the screen feel cluttered with too much information. Switching it to the dynamic setting seems to alleviate this issue. Lastly, the lip syncing and stilted animations of NPCs can be quite uninviting at times. They lack a warmth and believability, which made me less inclined to hang on their every word.
We can't stay here. That's the way out. But we won't make it under fire.
They can't shoot if they're dead. Keep them busy. I'll find an angle.
Fast! Fast! Are you with us?
I'm with you!
Let's go. Now!
Overall, Horizon Zero Dawn is a truly wonderful experience. Combat is beautiful, gathering supplies feels actually important, and the scenic views are spectacular. Aloy is easily the best character in both design and execution, as her heart, wit, and courage drive her ever onward. Although the game suffers from a lackluster story, a dull cast of extended characters, and needs to refine a few of its controls, this is a must-own title for any fan of open-world action RPGs. Agree with my review, Soldier? Let me know in the comments below, and a special thank you to all the Legionnaires who dropped by for my report. If you aren't a Legionnaire already, it's very easy, as all you need to do is to click the subscribe button, and you'll be welcomed with open arms. For those devoted Legionnaires, share this briefing with a friend to help bolster our ranks and keep the conversation going. To hear more in-depth thoughts on the title, check out the Critical Podcast, where I'll discuss it with my fellow General Joe. Thanks for stopping by, and remember to adapt and overcome.